Around, down, down, ba-dum, bum. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shadow at Night. This is Tuesday, June the 11th, 2024, and on the show tonight, a very important topic I've been meaning to actually get my arms around for quite some time. We have touched on it here and there, but we haven't gone into great detail about exactly how far this has gone or what's involved or what we can do to fight back. But we're going to talk about the agenda of transing our children. This is still an agenda that appears to be, anyway, in Canada, still picking up steam, even as the polls come out showing less support this year for this whole trans community as opposed to years previous. So hopefully that is slowing down in Canada, even as the establishments and the institutions continue to jam it down our throats. And of course, everything that goes along with that. That means government, that means big corporate Canada, that means even small stores that you may see on a street in a small town in your province with one of those pride flags in the window, only because they think that it's cool. They want to be one of the cool kids. There's so many different reasons that we could come up with as to why people feel being a part of this agenda is the right thing to do. But I don't think, let me scratch that. I don't think the majority of them feel it's the right thing to do. What I think is that most people are just trying to fit into what they perceive is the right thing to do. In other words, it's nothing but virtue signaling, the same as seeing a Ukrainian flag flying or climate change banners in somebody's window, that kind of thing. So we're going to talk to two guests tonight. David DeWolfe has had a very successful video circulate all across Instagram and TikTok in the past couple of weeks. He is a musician. He's a concert pianist. He also teaches children piano in Calgary. And there's a video of him talking to one of his piano students about what is required of kids these days in school. And Raelyn Fox is a mom. She lives in rural Manitoba, and she has been exposing this agenda in public schools and libraries now, doing some very deep dives into all of this for the past couple of years. Finally, we're going to bring Raelyn on tonight to talk more about it. But before we do that, let's go ahead and say some hellos. And guys, I am late. I apologize for being late tonight. 3 minutes. That means I'm going to stay 3 minutes past 9 o'clock Central tonight before we switch to the extension on shadowdavis.com. I am fully aware of these things, and I know there's some people actually out there with stopwatches clocking me. Hello, Barbara, watching in Glenora. Hello, Chuck in Kamloops. Lucette is watching tonight. Linda, hello, Barb in Glenora. Did I say that one already? Michael is watching in Brampton. Hello, Carla in Calgary. Stirring the Pot is watching from Hamilton. Who else is here tonight? Frank is in Huntsville. Hello, Eddie, watching in Stonewall. Diane is watching in Balmy, Saskatchewan. Finally, Balmy. Hello, Kevin and Wendy and Lulu and Rick in St. Anne's. Robert is watching in Kelowna, and Christine is in Paris, Ontario. Soshita is watching in Kingston, Ontario. Robert likes the new backdrop. Thank you, Robert. I'm going to switch these backdrops, not every night, but I'm just going to rotate through the ones that I have. Kev is watching from Canada, Nano Silver. They have a brand new retail location in Oakbank, Manitoba. We're going to tell you more about that in just a little while. Kim is watching from Manitoba. I think she's up in Dauphin, maybe a little bit north of Dauphin. Anyway, you guys, if you're watching on Facebook or X, please don't forget, it's very important we like and share. We get this out to as many people as we possibly can. Thank you very much. Also, if you're watching on Telegram, hello. If you're watching on Rumble, like Esky Dog and Winston Smith and Amnesty and Patricia0711 in Cornwall, the mouth of the ching tonight, and Louise DeVluc. I don't know how to say that, but you're watching in Costa Rica. I appreciate that. The dude is here tonight as well. Let's give us a thumbs up on Rumble. Get it out there to as many people as we can in the 100 million strong Rumble community. And if you want to share from Rumble, what you do is you hit the share button, highlight the URL above the screen. From there, you can copy and paste into your favorite location. Again, let's get this out to as many people as we possibly can. We played this last night for you on the extension. I believe it's very important we play it again for you now here on the main show. This is Raelyn Fox, and I want you to look at, if you can see in the bottom left hand corner of the screen here, this is her Rumble channel. She has 3 followers. All of you guys who are watching on Rumble right now, and all of you who will be watching on Rumble on a replay tonight, tomorrow, whenever, please go and follow her. Her name is spelled Raelynfox. It's all one word, Raelyn Fox on Rumble. She is doing such good work, deep dives into all of this CRT nonsense, all of this trans nonsense in public schools and libraries in Manitoba. And of course, that kind of work extends into other provinces and communities all across the country, across the world for that matter. But we need some followers for her so she can get this information out. This is the latest video that she put up. Watch this.
There is a survey going around, and its goal is to prove that racism runs rampant in Manitoba schools. The survey is unashamedly biased and will literally create the desired data, which will be used as the justification for ushering in a K-12 critical race theory curriculum. Let's take a look here. Does anyone else think it's strange that a survey that argues that race isn't real, rather that it's a social construct, also asks parents to lump themselves into racial groups? We might assume that if the survey is only going out to parents now, that it will be years before any sort of CRT hits the classroom, right? Actually, Manitoba Education has been working on this since 2017, and it's already making its way into Manitoba schools. Allow me to share with you what Manitoba Education has been working on. I came across this support document on the Manitoba Education website. It's called Creating Racism-Free Schools Through Critical or Courageous Conversations on Race. Quite the mouthful. Critical race theory has gotten a pretty bad rap, and no wonder, with kids coming home and telling their parents that they hate themselves. If I were Manitoba Ed, I'd change the name too. So this Manitoba Education document says that critical, courageous conversations build on critical race theory. The document says that we have to understand that racism is woven or embedded throughout the fabric of society and all of its institutions, often in ways that the dominant people barely perceive, but which the victims experience every day. Oh, and it also doesn't forget to mention white privilege. At its core, critical race theory segregates people into 2 main categories: oppressors or victims. Ironically, the calculation is based on skin color alone. Isn't this, by definition, racist? We can all agree that racism and discrimination are wrong and have no place in the classroom, but neither does racially motivated propaganda. Teaching children to believe that they are either racist or a victim because of their skin color only serves to introduce and fuel discrimination and racism amongst children, creating division and hatred among students who see themselves primarily as equals, as Canadians. This September, ask your child's principal if they plan on implementing critical race theory. Critical and courageous conversations. And ask your child's teacher how they view racism and white privilege. The last thing educators should be doing is teaching children to be ashamed of the color of their skin. If you get a survey like this one, rather than filling it out, phone your principal or superintendent and ask to have a meeting to discuss your concerns, or take 5 minutes to send them an email, letting your school know that you do not consent to your child being taught CRT under any name, under any form, or in any subject. And of course, as always, I will include links for everything I covered here in the video description down below. I urge all parents, as difficult as it may be, to speak up and have your voice heard. Please know that if you do not, they will accept your silence as your consent. Bye for now. Talk to you later.
Okay, do you see why I said that you guys need to follow her on Rumble? Because she puts such incredible material. Raelyn Fox is joining us on the show tonight. Raelyn, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. It's been a while. I've been wanting you to come on the show, but I guess it may be a case of stage fright. But now that you have been doing these videos and you have been really, I know you've been digging into this for the past couple years at least. you've been doing
Yep.
such a good job, and I want people to really understand what it is you're putting out there. You have put out a lot of information about these books that are available in public schools for kids as young as what, 5 or 6 years old, and in public libraries as well. Exactly how much time do you spend doing this?
More than the average person has, to be honest. More than I have. Um, so it takes hours and hours and hours, and there are so many books to go through. And so maybe I should just start at the very beginning and try not to, I don't know, backtrack too far. But um, I shared my story on Rumble and on my social media as well about what drew me to go to the school and start asking some questions. Um, Essentially, you see stuff online and there's lots of like these videos, and you never know what's real and what's not, and until you actually investigate for yourself. Unfortunately, with AI up and coming, everything seems to be like wishy-washy, and you're like, so what's real and what's not, right?
Right.
So I started, like, going up the ladder, right? Start with the principal, go express some concerns, see what I'm seeing. But unfortunately, it started with finding a few inappropriate books in my daughter's bedroom, and then
Now,
that prompted.
but
Yeah.
backtrack. How old is
Oh,
your daughter when she came home with these books?
she was 11 at the time,
Okay. Okay.
and the severity of the books prior to me digging. So the ones that I found in her bedroom were not the worst of what I found. Thank God.
Right.
Um, but the deeper that I dug, going to the principal, getting a list of all the books in the library, because I wanted to know where they were kept. Because even the ones that she brought home, I didn't think were very appropriate. Um, so I I asked the principal for that list. I went through that list. Um, Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't have access to this amazing website called booklooks.org, and it helped a lot with digging through that list. It still took a lot of time, but it was definitely helpful and sped things up. Um,
How many books have you found on that list that you found
oh,
objectionable, or that other people found objectionable, and you looked at and went, "Yeah, that is actually really bad."
yeah. Well, I mean, we can put them into two different categories here, right? Because I think the most offensive to most parents is the stuff that is very sexually explicit, right? That it's porn. Let's call it what it is. It's pornography. It's written pornography. Um, and those are the ones that are the most offensive, I think, to most parents. So it's around 60 or more, 60, 70 in one school. So this is a single school. This is the Carmen Collegiate. They probably won't like that I'm saying that on here, but
Whatever. Who
that's
cares
what it
what they
is.
like?
So yeah, that's the ones, just that one category of the sexually explicit. It does, of course, kind of overlap into that gender ideology category as well. So yeah, a portion of them are um, LGBTQ, or whatever you want to call it, gender ideology. But there are a lot that aren't, that that are heterosexual, I guess you could say. Um,
But it's still pornography, undeniably.
Absolutely, absolutely, by
Okay.
definition, by normal people's definition.
Okay, so you have discovered all of these pornographic books, whether they're heterosexual, homosexual, whatever they are. And what
Right.
did you do after that? You went to the principal and said, "Hey, what the heck's going on here?" What did the principal say?
Yeah, yeah. So we went to the school. Of course, I wanted to take a tour. I wanted to see these books for myself, because I was like, how can they be on this list? This is ridiculous. How could they be there? This must be a mistake, right? The benefit of the doubt. So my husband and I went and took a tour of the library at the school. And unfortunately, it was June. So poor timing,
Yeah.
maybe, or good timing. I don't know,
It
because
was June, so
they
it was
were.
poor timing. That's funny. But wait a minute, when you go back and say, like, benefit of the doubt, were you completely and totally oblivious to all of this stuff before you found that book in your daughter's dresser?
No, no, no. I wasn't oblivious. I was just hopeful, maybe hopeful that it wasn't
real, trying to pinch myself, wake myself up.
Yeah,
It just
right.
was ridiculous. But yeah, so yeah, it was June. So either it was poor timing or good timing because everything was pulled up right front and center. So we were able to see them kind of on display, didn't really have to dig too hard. And so upon asking about it, try not to name names here.
You know what? You don't need to be nice. The problem with us, I think, not just you and I, but all of us in general, is that we try so hard to bend over backwards to be nice about things. And it's okay to be nice to a point, but the other side just does not see that as part of the equation. So sometimes we just have to roll up our sleeves and get a little bit upset here. There's no need to be nice if she was not nice to you, right? Respect begets respect, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
Well, no worries. They were trying to justify it kind of under like it's all under this DEI umbrella, right? It's all this diversity, equity, inclusion. Everyone should be reflected in the material. They should be able to see themselves in the material. So my argument is that, well, if a child can see themselves reflected in pornography, then perhaps that child is in an unsafe environment to begin with, and maybe we need to be asking more questions. So, yes, they were trying to defend it as if it were meeting the requirements of diversity, equity, and inclusion, their goals set forth by the province. And we're not stupid, so we know that that's not really accurate. My husband did pull the books off the shelf and pulled them open and said, this is just diversity, equity, and inclusion? Do you think there should be, step-on-step instructions on how to perform a blowjob? Do you think that, there should be instruction on how to access adult-only websites and saunas and, engaging in random sex with adults? And how to do that, and how to upload your profile and your picture, and how to contact these people, and how to find
all of that is included. Yeah. That is all included in these books. All of that stuff.
That was one book.
Oh, that's one book. Oh my God, that's crazy. Did you show this book to the principal? Like, hey, look at this. What are you like? And so, what did the principal say? Is the principal a man or a woman?
Well, a woman, but so
I don't know.
My husband held it up, and I've done the majority of the research, so he's holding it up, and I'm like, all right, that's it. Let's get to the nitty-gritty stuff. Let's go to the bad stuff here. Let me flip through. And I went to the actual pages. I had memorized some pages because this was one of the doozies. And I went, this, and she just snatched it out of my hand, and she's like, maybe that shouldn't be here. So when I tried to obtain the books at a later date, because I was like, I can't keep this quiet, because the librarian at the time told me not to share any of the images, any of the pictures that I took, because there was no way I was not taking pictures of what I just saw. Not to share them because they had their own social media, and that they kept that up to date, and I didn't need to. I didn't want to. I don't know, a spoiler alert. I don't know.
Okay, so they didn't want you sharing any of this material because they didn't want people to know about it. Clearly, they didn't want people to know about it. Just like we see in all of these pride parades that have been going on all across the world for the last couple of weeks now, ever since June hit, right? Mm-hmm. Our friend Ron Primo out in Niagara was out at Pride in the Park in Niagara this past weekend trying to take video. And even though the city of Niagara had coughed up $15,000, so that makes it public instantly when taxpayer dollars are involved, he showed up with his camera wanting to record. Security guards immediately formed a wall around him. Police came over and said, "This is private function. You can't be here, sir." I'm sorry, this is not a private function. But in the meantime, what he did capture on camera was drag queens, like barely dressed, hanging their junk out in front of little kids from a stage as the kids are looking up going, "Yay!" I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So, but the thing is, if they thought they were doing the right thing, they would want the world to see they're doing what they're doing, right? So
Yeah.
It just seems like they know they're doing the wrong thing, and yet they keep doing it as they try to keep it quiet. Let's talk a little bit about the most recent video that you put out, the one we played tonight, the CRT, the critical race stuff. I don't like it when they change the names of things. For example, the Liberal government lately has been talking about tax equity for all generations, which means communism, even though they never say the word. That's exactly what it is. In this situation, what is it? What are they calling it? Critical deep thinking or
critical and courageous conversations on race.
Oh,
So it's
lovely.
kind of, yeah, I mean, they only really added a couple new words, but you go into a few pages and it's not very hard to find a paragraph that says that builds off of critical race theory.
And so you discovered this because of a mail out, an email survey?
Actually, I'm going to be very honest. I spend a little too much time on the Manitoba Education website because I feel like it's these are things that they hide in plain sight. They go, we're not doing anything. We have nothing to hide. And they put it right there. You just have to know where to look and what you're looking for. They put everything in these really inconspicuous and innocent sounding verbiage, like and stuff you can't argue with, right? Like equality. How can you argue with that? You want everybody to be treated equally. I think everyone does. But when you put, acceptance and those kind of things, those are great things and you can't argue. So I like to go to the root of it all and just dig. So I came across the CRT document. I came across another one as well, but I won't divert from if you have more questions about it.
Oh, no, continue on, please.
So the CRT thing was a relatively new thing that I had come across, but kind of going off of the books, I found a whole bunch of, like I said, they use this DEI umbrella for pretty much everything they're bringing into the schools right now, trying to justify it as, everybody needs to learn this stuff and that it's helpful and yada, yada. But going on the education website, so one thing that they argue is that, you're out of touch or you're a prude because you don't want your kids having sexually explicit materials. And you go, oh, well, they're going to get a hold of it anyway. Well, I don't think mine are. And I'm not trying to be naive, but my kids don't have untethered access to the internet or YouTube. I've seen some pretty nasty stuff even on there. Right. So I monitor things pretty closely, but I would hope that, conversations could be had if they stumble upon something at some point. But anyway, so going on the Manitoba Education website, because they justify this as, well, it kind of goes along with the sexual education. You just don't want your child educated on sexuality or sexual health. And we have to be we have to be careful with wording because that's what they are. They throw these trick words in. So there's sexual.
Raelyn, have you become very good at translating those words almost instantly when you see them?
Oh yeah. It's like a hidden language.
It's like in the Matrix when you can start reading the computer code and when nobody else can, or you can see the instant 3D picture before anybody can. That's absolutely amazing. The work you've been doing is fantastic. So look, I want to take a break a little bit. I want you to come back because we're going to do this three-way conversation with David DeWolfe, but I want to bring David on now. So can you hang in for another 10 minutes or so?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Raelyn. That's Raelyn Fox. Follow her on Rumble and on X. Raelyn, Raelyn Fox, Fox. David DeWolfe is a concert pianist. He is a musician. He is also teaching piano to some kids in Calgary. David, thank you for coming on tonight. You're in the car because it's a little noisy in the house, yeah?
That's right.
So look, I'm going to play your video here. I'm going to throw this up on the stage for people to see. And I know I've played this already a couple of times, you guys, but for those of you who have not seen this, please pay attention. It's only about a minute and a half long. This is David talking to one of his piano students here. Wow, that's absolutely amazing. David, when you put now, first of all, when I first saw that video, I have to say I thought that was you talking to your kid, right?
I think
Because
everybody did.
yeah, yeah, but it turns out that that is one of you. How old is that student? 13, I think you were telling me on the phone the other day.
Yeah, he's 13. That's right.
Okay, so how did that conversation come up? Because once we discovered that it wasn't your son, some people went, well, how come he's having that conversation with a kid?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like a big brother to this guy, this student. I won't say his name because nobody needs to know who he is. But anyways, he's grown up without a dad, and I've been around for the last few years teaching him piano. And I mean, I take him out on outings. Like over Christmas break, I had him out at the outdoor rink, and we were playing hockey together. And we've gone fishing. I've taken him out with my kids and tried to get him involved and be a good role model for him. And when we started piano lessons the other day, he came up to me and he was concerned, and he said, what do you think about this? And he was telling me about this project that he has to make a pride rainbow flag. And basically I got the whole gist of it. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to do it. And his mom doesn't agree with it, but on the other hand, she doesn't want him to get in trouble at school, so she's telling him just go ahead and do it. And he's asking me for advice, and I was like, well, obviously you have to listen to your mom. However, it's mind-boggling that this is what they're teaching kids and this is what they're using the classroom time for. So I asked him, I was like, would you mind, I'm not going to show your face, but would you mind doing a little TikTok video about with me, just kind of share your story? And he did. And I didn't expect it to blow up the way that it did, but I sure am glad that it did, because I think that it's brought a lot of awareness to a lot of people who might like Raelyn said, not so much that they have no idea what's going on, but hoping that it's not happening in their city or their school. And I think it's happening a lot more than people realize it is. And I'm noticing that just from reading, I think my video on TikTok right now has over 4,000 comments, and you read through it and the amount of parents that are sharing similar stories. A lot of people have already pulled their kids out of school because stuff like that's been happening in their school district. And it's frightening. It's incredibly frightening what they're teaching children. And I mean, this kid goes to a school, I think it's kindergarten to grade 9. And this is a school that every single kid in the school has to participate in this activity.
I don't understand that. I mean, even when we were going to school back in the day, if you had field day or something, you say, I don't want to do this, then they'd give you something else to do. Well, you can go sit in the library, I guess. I usually just screwed off.
Yeah.
That was just me. Do you think that maybe because the world these days is filled with single parent homes, do you think that maybe the people behind this whole agenda, and we could go deep on this one, and maybe we can do that another night, but the people behind this agenda thought the time is ripe right now to go ahead and push this agenda because there's so many fatherless homes out there. I mean, you're talking about a kid that you put on this TikTok video who, you're a big brother to, and you're a male influence in his life, but he doesn't have that on a day-to-day basis, does he?
No, he does not. I mean, he's got other people like me that are looking out for him, but no, he doesn't have a dad in the home. He doesn't have a relationship with his father. And like you said, there's probably a lot of other young Canadians that are in the exact same boat.
Yeah. So when we get to a situation like that, and I'm not trying to vilify women here, I'm just talking about balance. If you're talking about a young man, a boy who's becoming a man, that age 13, right? I mean, and all he's got around him are female influences, then he's not being taught how to be a man. I mean, my dad, for as many differences as we had, he took me out hunting, he took me out fishing, he took me to football games, he told me to toughen up. I remember complaining about having to go play baseball. I'm 14 years old and it's raining outside, just a little bit of spit. And I said, I don't think we're going to play today. He goes, well, you're not sugar. You're not going to melt. Like that kind of stuff, right? Like you need that positive, strong male reinforcement in your life. You need to be called out occasionally. And it's great. Moms give the comfort and the love and the compassion and the caring. But I think sometimes you need the other side of that coin which is the toughen up and be a man kind of a thing, which is what our society seems to be lacking right now with all of this trans nonsense that's flying around. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, you're absolutely right. I think God gave us very specific roles as fathers and mothers, as men and women. And we could go really deep into that if we wanted to. We don't need to do that tonight, but I think that is something that's definitely missing in a lot of homes. I will give this kid's mom a lot of credit. She's done a lot of work to make sure that he does have positive male role models around him. So I'm not going to vilify her at all. I think she's doing a great job, but it is especially like, I was talking with somebody the other day, and 3/4 of the classroom has a broken family. They live with their mom or they live with their dad, but their parents are separated. They got step brothers and steps, and like 3/4 of the classroom. I'm 34 years old. I'm not very old. When I was in school, there might have been one kid in my class that came from a broken family, and it's normal now. And it's weird when you meet people and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're having our 20th wedding anniversary. Mom and dad are still together." And it's like, "What? That's weird. How are you? Why are your parents still together?" Like it's almost completely flipped the script, right? And I think, not having a positive male role model is scary. And you look in the schools, and in the schools, who are the teachers in the schools? They're women, right? For the most part. And aside from maybe the phys ed teacher, maybe the principal or men, but there's a lot of female role models. Where are the men, especially for young boys that don't have a strong male role model at home? I think you're definitely onto something there.
So people are telling me they didn't see the sound on that video, and somebody
I didn't hear it either. It wasn't. I thought maybe that was just me.
No, that was me. I did not have the sound on. And Randolph in my comment section makes a very good point. And that point is I need a producer. So I'm going to have to go get myself a producer. Anyway, I hope you guys can hear us now. It looks good. I'm going to bring Raelyn back into this conversation. And Raelyn, I did not mean to vilify women, as I pointed out earlier, because I know that, kids need both a strong female presence in their life, their mom, but they also need their dad too, right? And so we have gotten involved in so much of this back and forth. Well, men are bad, men are evil. And even if, there's a recent separation where you see parents fighting and calling each other names and communicating through their kids, that's not a good thing either. That creates a problem within the family. And I think that the attack is on families right now. Raelyn, you are in a family situation. You and your husband, your whole family is together. But do you see a lot of the same stuff that David was just talking about?
I believe David, if he says that, like you said, what, 3/4 of the kids in the class came from broken homes. I believe that, unfortunately. And yes, Shadow, I agree. I think there's been an attack on family and on family values. I think that it is very easy for our society nowadays to just, if something's not quite working, or if the marriage that you got yourself into isn't sunshine and rainbows, that you can just opt out, and you don't really have to work at it, because you can just do round two. And I'm not coming down on anybody for going through divorces. Things happen, but I do think that there is kind of an encouragement somewhere that that staying together just isn't as encouraged, I guess.
So what can we do? And I know you guys have both been doing your part in trying to get this information out to people. David, you've been making videos. You put them up on TikTok. You were saying that some of your videos get taken down. This one hasn't, but most others have in the last little while, yeah?
Well, I actually had a TikTok with like tens and tens of thousands of subscribers, and when I'd go live and have over 1 million people view the video, like during the convoy days, I'd have 1 million viewers tune into my videos, and my entire account got deleted. I've since restarted, and for the most part, I post music. I play piano for a living. That's what I do. But usually I'd say 95% of the time, if it's anything political, it gets deleted. And I mean, I'm very careful in what I say and how I say it to make sure that I don't use offensive language, and I don't say things that are homophobic or transphobic or racist, whatever you want to say. I'm very careful with the language that I use. However, they're always getting taken down. I'm super surprised that this one didn't get taken down, and it was taken down for a short amount of time, and then I appealed it, and then they reinstated the video, and I think it's at almost 500,000 views or something like that at this point. And then, like,
it's amazing, and it's also been it's been peeled off your TikTok, thrown onto Instagram and all the other social media. I'm gonna guess it's probably been viewed millions of times by now. I don't think the numbers are going to show you that on your TikTok, but because it's been peeled off onto all this other social media sites, it's going to be millions of times. Are you guys finding that it's difficult to mobilize people who feel the same way? Raelyn, what do you think?
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, I think it's kind of woven into our society, but also like our human social nature is to want to fit in and to want to belong. And that's kind of how they prey on you, right? It's the social pressure of, well, if you say that, we can't, I don't know if we can socialize anymore because people might not like it. And so, yeah, it is. It's a little bit, it's hard. It's really hard. You have to choose, sometimes between this stuff. But my husband and I are both very firm that this is the hill that we're willing to die on.
So let me ask you both.
Pretty powerful, but
no, it's actually great, that you have decided that, because it's very important that we do that. Of all the people that that you associate with, that you socialize with, maybe going to church or just hanging out playing golf or doing whatever it is that you guys do for fun with other people, how many people feel the same way? What percentage of people feel the same way? I'm going to guess both. It's probably like 90 to 100%, right?
Quite a lot. Yeah, I don't know about percentages, but it's quite a lot. There's a lot of people that come privately and will say, we agree with you, keep going, we're there for you. But as far as people that are actually willing to step up and put their own faces to it and put their own voices to it, it's pretty far and few between.
What about you, David?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, the second I'm very loud, and I've always been very loud, and I'm not ashamed of who I am. And I think God gave me the gift of charisma to be able to speak about the things that I'm passionate about. And one thing that I do know, like even speaking with parents of my piano students, like, I mean, I know a lot of people. I've ran into 0 people in my circle that don't agree with this, but I also have ran into 0 people who are willing to stand up and speak about it publicly for fear of the backlash. And I mean, if you'll read through the comments on my TikTok video, a quick 20-second read will show you exactly why people are scared to stand out. You look and it's just hate after hate after hate. People like wanted to track down my kids. People wanted to track down my family. You shouldn't be a father. I'm going to call social services on you. All this kind of stuff because I'm preaching what I believe in. And so I get it. I get why people are scared, but I also think that people need to overcome that fear, and we need to unite together and fight for our children. And I mean that's.
Let me ask you, how many of those? How many comments? Like, if we're talking about a ratio here between support and the negativity, like the threats, in the comments on your videos, are there? Is it like 10 to 1, 100 to 1? Is it how many people are looking for your
man,
kids?
I stopped reading the comments at like 3,000, but I didn't read 3,000. I skimmed through, but I'd say at least half of them are in support. I'd say more than half of them, I would say, would be in support. And a lot of them are back and forth. Like, I don't battle and I don't reply to comments. I let people fight in the comment section, and it's very entertaining to watch. Oh, you're a bigot. No, you're a liberal. And they just go back and forth at each other. But I would say it's got to be, I think there's a lot more people that are on our side publicly, but the people that are against it are so loud and so aggressive that they just take things to the next level every single time. There's no ability to have a civil, constructive conversation about it.
Yeah, and they're also
I can sit down and have a conversation about my beliefs. Go ahead.
No, they're also sadly in positions of power. Raelyn has found this out. She has spoken at school board meetings. She has spoken at town council meetings, and it's interesting to see the responses of those people. Yeah, Raelyn?
Um, it really shocked me, to be honest. So, like, the first meeting blew up. Um, I had put a post out on social media, basically just spilling the beans after they had told me not to share it. I was like, no, I'm going to share it. So I spilled the beans, and I just said it as it was. I didn't offer any of my opinions. I just said what I found, and that we were going to be speaking at a board meeting. But,
Why,
after going,
why are they telling you again? They're trying to silence you. Why are they telling you not to share these things?
yeah, I mean, I think that they knew that this didn't go well. Um, the facial expressions were, I think, a little bit of shock, but I don't know if it was like, well, I don't want them to know that I knew this was here, or if I didn't know it was here, I don't want them to think that I wasn't diligent and didn't do my job to keep this stuff out. So it was, like if you get caught, and I'm not saying they were lying, but like if you get caught in a lie, you either come clean or you double down. And I think it was like the double down thing where it's like, I don't want them, I don't want people to know that I knowingly put this here, or I, yeah, I don't like to make too
I
many
think
assumptions about what other people think. So,
Well, I think that if somebody like a school board official, trustee, or a mayor, reeve, town councilor, city councilor says, hey, listen, can you keep this on the down low? Don't share this with anybody because, it's kind of a debacle. That to me means, no, I'm going to double share it now. Because people, if you're trying to keep this quiet, that means you don't want it out there, which means it needs to be out there. David, have you seen anything like this? I know that you told me on the phone the other day that your kids are going to a Christian school and you haven't really had to fight this all that much, but has it seeped in at all to the curriculum at your kids' school?
We're super blessed. We don't have anything like that. And I mean, there's definitely issues I have with the school, and it bites. My son is turning 9 years old on Sunday, and he loves playing hockey. And our school doesn't offer a hockey program, but the school across the street does. But the school across the street has gender fluid bathrooms. They teach inclusivity and transgender awareness to our 9-year-old children. And I can't, as a father who wants what's best for my kid, send him to a school. And so we miss out on a lot of other things as well, right? I mean, we don't have Disney, we don't have Netflix, we don't have Prime, we don't listen to the radio, especially during the month of June. It's like I don't take my kids out in public because it's the rainbow is supposed to be a symbol of God's love for all of us, whether you're Christian or not. That was what, for thousands of years, that's what the rainbow has symbolified, and it's not that anymore. And my 9-year-old son, if you said the word transgender to him, he would, what are you talking about? And I'm very grateful for that, but I've also taken so many proactive steps to shielding my children from the evil that's out in the world these days. And it's very tough, but that to get to your point, no, we don't have it in our school, thank the Lord. But I mean, a lot of other schools have it, and I can't shield my kids from everything. Eventually they're gonna learn. I just pray that it's later rather than sooner.
You remind me of the guy, in that meme, standing in front of the rainbow, coming like holding the shield up in front of the kids. Raelyn, your kids do go to public school, don't they?
nope.
No.
No. So after the board ruled that the books would stay, and that they stated that what did they say? I want to use their wording, but it's slipping my mind. They didn't acknowledge, or decided that, they weren't going to say that, yes, there was porn in their school. They were, think of the word, doesn't matter. They were refusing to acknowledge that it was porn, stating that it wasn't there. So when I realized that they weren't actually going to do anything to protect our children, whether it be from porn books, which is, I think, a pretty easy thing to be against, right? Especially when you go and you sit there and you read it out, and you can't argue with it. It's porn. It's people having sex like you're describing it. And
And worse still, I mean, when you talk about that, I mean, because I have seen the books that you're talking about through our friends down there. Jen and Christine have sent me this stuff. You've sent me this stuff, and it's not just adults having sex. It's not just homosexual sex. We're talking about children having sex with adults that is depicted in these books.
Oh, it's pretty much every perverse thing you can possibly imagine. It's pedophilia, it's paraphilia, which I had to Google, by the way. I didn't realize that was a word. But
what does it mean? I don't know what paraphilia is. What is that?
Like violence or murder, like for a sexual.
So they're throwing in the violence to make it more exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. But
exciting.
Bestiality, like you name it, everything.
And it's in these books.
Things. Yeah.
So you took your kids out.
Yeah. So we pulled our kids after we realized that if they can't make a simple decision to take porn out, then when it comes to gender ideology or CRT or any of these things that are going to totally change our culture and change our society through our children, I can't do it in good faith. I can't allow them to be exposed to that crap. Pardon my French. But I can't do it. So I've pulled them out. I'm homeschooling all 4 of them now, and it's
okay.
difficult, but it's easier than a lot of people think.
Yeah. Well, so homeschooling. Okay. So there's a lot of people out there that go, boy, I'd love to be able to have that luxury of being able to stay at home and homeschool my kids and all of that. As you say, it's easier than you think, but it's still a demand of your time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've got to, I mean, they're all 4 different ages, obviously. You've got to have different things for all of them. I don't know how you've got enough time in the day.
Well, people think that you have to sit down for 6 hours a day like you do at public school, right? The reason that takes them a whole hour to get through a single lesson for all these kids is because there's that many, right? You have to make sure that each one of them is grasping it, and you have to go slow so that the slowest child doesn't get left behind. So I think for my oldest daughter, we usually do about 2 to 3 hours a day, and that's everything. So, and then I have like my youngest, she's doing her kindergarten, and she's half an hour a day.
Well, that's a little easier. Yeah, I suppose so. But you still got the 2 others because you got 4 of them, right? Now, according to my math, 2 plus 2 still equals 4.
Right. And then, I mean, there's some subjects as well that you can do both because it's, ages or grades 4 to 8. So you can put them both in that same program. So it saves time.
Guys, at the end of our discussion here, I'm going to throw David's video up again with sound this time so you can all hear it because it's important that you hear it. And I made that mistake. It's on me, so I want to make up for it. And so I'm going to throw it up on the screen again. I want to wrap up with you guys on this note. David, I know you're a Christian, Raelyn as well. Is this a war on Christianity? David?
You know what? I 100% believe it is. You're not allowed to talk about your faith in public, not just at school, anywhere. You'll be vilified. You're a Bible thumper. You're sky fairy. The second you tell somebody that you're a Christian, the world comes and attacks you, and that is okay. That is acceptable. That is totally tolerated by society nowadays. We could call them Christianophobes if we want to put a label on them. But the second you say, I don't want my 9-year-old son to learn about transgenderism, I'm a hateful, transphobic, bigot piece of shit that deserves to die with my family. And it's definitely 100%. It is a war on Christianity, and it's a war on family. And it's that same piano student. We didn't touch on this, but tomorrow he has it's a required assembly. It's a 4-hour assembly where they're going to be having drag performers and transgender people come into the school and talk about what their daily struggles are and what is for transgender awareness. This is a 4-hour obligatory presentation in the school gym tomorrow afternoon, and this is what they're teaching children. So absolutely 100% it is a war on Christianity.
Raelyn?
Yeah. Pardon me. Yeah, it's a war on Christianity and a war on kids. I think that they know that if you want to change a culture, you start with the children. So
Yeah, I mean that's you're playing the long game, right? So you get and that's what we're seeing now. I mean, you guys are both younger than I am, but I'll tell you this: 10 years ago, working in radio, I was told that going back to the critical race theory thing, Raelyn, that you could not. It was absolutely impossible to be racist against white people. After I brought up on my I brought up on my radio show that the province of Manitoba had excluded white men from being able to apply for this job. I said, well, that's racist. And my morning show producer, who was significantly younger than I am, had just come through Ryerson Institute in Toronto, where she had been taught this stuff. Well, Shadow, you can't be racist against white people. Don't you know that? And I said, wait a minute. Racism is racism. I don't care what color you're against. Racism is racism. That's all there is to it. But according to critical race theory, you cannot, absolutely, that is a rule. You cannot be racist against white people. This has been going on for a very, very long time.
So
go ahead.
That document that I shared there, the Courageous Conversations, yada, yada, yada. What I like to do is to go into, or tell other people to do, because I've done this already, but go into the glossary of the document, go through the definitions and how they define things, because exactly what you're saying is how they define racism. And I can read it here. I have it pulled up on my phone. A mix of prejudice and power leading to domination and exploitation of one group, and then in brackets, the dominant or majority group over another, and in brackets, the non-dominant minority or racialized group. So it can only be the majority racist toward a minority. It's not the other way around, right? That's
so. What if you're the only white person sitting in a room filled with people of color? Are you still exempt from the racism thing?
Well,
you see, that's what I think it is. I mean, it's a war on Christianity. It's a war on Judeo-Christian beliefs. It's a war on our society, which was founded on Judeo-Christian beliefs. And most of the people from or in Canada and the United States and the Western world, they're white. So, of course, they're going to be going after white people. Not because they're white, I think. I mean, even though they might think that, but because they may be Christians, and you've got to look out for those evil Christians. I saw a shirt yesterday. David, you might find this funny, you guys both. I saw a shirt the other day. Somebody sent me a photo, and it was at a pride parade somewhere. I think it was in San Francisco. And the T-shirt was a cartoon goat head with rainbow horns, and the caption was, "Not today, Jesus."
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
And so I went looking for that online to see if it was real or if it was like something somebody made up. And no, you can go buy that shirt on Amazon. It's a big seller apparently. Not today, Jesus. Like, what does that even tell you? It's okay, maybe you're against Jesus and Christianity, but does that mean you're for satanic worship? Like, you got a goat head, man. It's a goat head on your shirt here.
Well, I think we've all seen those the churches on social media that are shared that are flying the flag, or they have like on their robes they've got the rainbow stuff. So it's not the churches. Come on, right? Like,
that's crazy. David,
wild.
Well, that's the United Church. We could go into a whole discussion about that as well, and yeah, it's crazy. And reading through the comments, I did notice one theme with people that are completely oblivious and say, I don't see any problem. What are you talking about? The majority of the people who had that mindset were young. Like, I don't know if they're old enough to have TikTok. You look at their profiles and they look like they're 14. They're probably between the ages of 16 and 23. And these are kids, like you said, that have grown up in the school system with what they're teaching nowadays that do not see the issue. So 20 years from now, if we as parents don't take it up upon ourselves to teach our children properly, the schools are going to do it for us. and they're not going to know any better. And I'm looking at it, I can't even get upset with these people because they're brainwashed. They're brainwashed and they do not understand what is going on. And if we don't stand up and fight for them, who's going to?
Well, the
Exactly.
indoctrination hasn't just started recently, right? It's been a really long time, and we're just kind of waking up to it now, a lot of people.
Which is a good thing, though, because finally we're starting to get the word out there and people are starting to realize, hey, maybe things aren't as hunky dory as we thought they were just a few years ago. And I think that the globalists have done this to themselves. I know it seems like an uphill battle that we're facing right now, and I know it's difficult to bring people in and to get people mobilized and in the fight. But once we get them, once we get enough of them, we can't lose this because we know we're the majority. David, Raelyn, thank you for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate you both taking the time to be here. I want to have you both back to have this discussion and other ones like it in the next few weeks if you're both able to do that. Thank you very much. Where can we find you guys on social media? Raelyn, we know we got you on Rumble. Raelyn Fox on Rumble, but I want to see more than 3 followers on Rumble tonight, you guys. I showed that to you earlier on in the show. I want to see more than 3. You're also on X and what other social media?
Yeah, I'm on X, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. There's one more thing I really, really wanted to share, but if we're out of time, that's all good. I can send you some information. Maybe you want to share it later.
What do you got?
I'll try to be really fast, really fast. So a lot of people don't realize that all of this stuff is, like I said, on the Manitoba Education website, and all you have to do is know where to click and where to look. So this all kind of leads into our sexual education programs, right, within our schools. So teachers are guided by the curriculum. They kind of know the learning outcomes, what they're expected to deliver, and then they have a bunch of support documents on their website because nobody's going to go and make their own, outlines. Well, some might, but a lot of them are going to go, well, this is too hard or this is too much. So I wanted to point into a direction of something. You go onto their website and you click on sexual health, and there is a document there called Growing Up Okay. And some people might be familiar with it, some people might not. But in this document, just to summarize, I mean, it's pretty broad, but it's sexuality education included as well. So different from sexual education, right? We're talking about homosexuality, transgender stuff. So one, that teachers are not to disclose any information regarding gender identity. We already know this, right? The mention of mature minor, basically that, they might not be under or over 18, but they might be able to make decisions on their own in regards to social or medical transition. Again, not allowed to disclose that to the parents. And then, of course, you have your school-based gender transition plan. The teachers are actually, or counselors rather, are encouraged to help these students set up a plan to transition without the awareness of their parents, because that's just not something we do here in Manitoba yet. So the big question that people should be asking is, where's the push coming from? Where is the push? Why? Why does my child need to know? Well, beyond social acceptance and all of that, when you look into the support services on this document, one of the organizations is CERC. And I don't know if you have heard about that one. You might have. I've talked about it a little bit. It's the Sexuality Education Resource Center in Manitoba. And
They're
I
everywhere.
learned,
It's crazy how they're everywhere.
yeah,
You can't go anywhere. Yeah, go ahead.
I learned just not long ago that CERC actually renamed from Planned Parenthood in 1997. So there's some negative parts on their identity, I guess, needed to change and needed to rebrand and kind of hit the kids again. But fun fact.
Oh, just like they rename everything. Like they don't, like I say, they don't want to call it communism. They want to call it, equal generational taxation. They don't want to call it critical race theory. They call it critical conversations. They don't want to call it Planned Parenthood because negative connotations. So now they call it CERC.
It's education. So here's a fun fact. I found out just this last week that the CERC board chair was actually a porn star and a porn producer, and she is fighting for. She's also on the Sex Workers of Winnipeg Action Coalition, so she's fighting to remove the stigma behind sex work. Cirque is, I know, I'm sorry, I unpacked that in like the last second. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm glad that you brought it out. Save the best for last, I always say.
Well, I'm gonna do another video on it because I've got information on that, but I just thought these are the people that are teaching our kids our sexuality education and our sex ed, and she's a porn star. I thought that it was sex work is okay. No.
All right, you guys, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Find Raelyn on all the socials. Go and follow her. She's got great information. David, where can we find you?
David DeWolfe Music everywhere. TikTok, Instagram. I don't use X very often. I've got one, but I don't post on there. Mostly TikTok and Instagram is where you'll find me.
Okay, bro. Thanks for coming on tonight. Hopefully we'll get you on again. We'll be following your videos. And I'm going to play this video again with sound as I head to the extension tonight. Thank you, David, for coming on tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Shadow. God bless.
Okay, man. Yeah, you too. David DeWolfe and Raelyn Fox on the show tonight. All right, guys, let me throw this up here. With sound, this is David talking to his 13-year-old piano student about,
So why don't you tell me about the school project that you've got? What grade are you in?
8.
Okay, tell me about your grade 8 school project that you've got.
Everybody has to make a pride flag,
Like what kind of pride flag?
like the LGBTQ flag, and everybody has to put it on the front of the school.
What if you say no?
You're not allowed to.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to make a pride flag.
Yes.
Does it have to have like the transgender colors too, or can it just be the rainbow flag?
It has to be what's the transgender colors? It has to be like the rainbow flag.
Yeah, but with the pink like little triangle.
Yes.
It has to have that too?
Have that triangle, yes.
And what'll happen if you say no, I don't want to? I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't support that ideology.
I'm pretty sure you get called home.
Seriously?
Yes.
I feel like that's what it's getting called home for. This is what's happening in schools in Calgary, Alberta, you guys. How do you feel about this?
I don't know.
Not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Neither am I really.
Yeah. So, and that's not just in Calgary, that's going on everywhere. And the more of us that sit and stay silent, and when I mean sit and stay silent, I don't mean going on social media and complaining about it or making a comment on somebody's video, which is fine. That's good to do that because the more of us out there, the better. What you want ultimately is for these people, and I've noticed this a lot on X lately. Every time a Liberal Party member makes a post, which is a lot lately, they're trying to sell this new budget. They're trying to sell this new capital gains tax. They're trying to say fair taxation for every Canadian generation, which is nothing but BS. It's all about communism, guys. Every time they make a post, it gets ratioed hard, at least 2-to-1. Compared comments to likes. So if one of those posts gets 300 likes, it's going to get at least 600 comments from people saying, "You're a communist," or trying to explain exactly how they're lying, which is incredible. So every time the Liberals, and I mean the Liberal Party of Canada, or any member of the Liberal Party of Canada, opens their mouth on any social media, they get ratioed, and they get ratioed very, very hard. So that's a good thing. But more important than that is actually speaking out in person. And I know a lot of us have become accustomed to speaking online and only online. When we go out to the grocery store, we don't say anything. We sit there begrudgingly. We might scowl or we might roll our eyes if we see a pride flag or if we see something that we know, like somebody still wearing a mask even, right? Maybe it's time now, if you're one of those people who's not accustomed to speaking out, to speak out and say something. Imagine the power that we would have if all of us started to speak out, like for real speak out. Again, never mind social media. Let's take that out of the equation for a moment here. If we all decided we're going to speak out. Now, people are scared they're going to have a Jerry Maguire moment, right? And you guys have seen that movie with Tom Cruise, where he writes that manifesto and then he goes into the office the next day and it accidentally got released and everybody's read it and they're all kind of snickering at him behind his back. And finally, he stands up and says, "Who's coming with me?" And only one person, Renee Zellweger, says, "I'll come with you." And everybody else in the office just keeps doing what they're doing. After a moment of silence, maybe a couple of chuckles, they go back to their life and he leaves. And we don't want that moment in our lives. We don't want to be humiliated like that. We don't want to be embarrassed like that. But we have to risk it if we want to get our message out. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys here. When I first started doing this show, I was scared. I thought, that's going to be it for me. I will never, ever work in radio again. I will be chastised. I will lose every single friend that I got or had. Everything will come crashing down around me. Now, that was 4 years ago. Almost. And it did happen to some extent. But I can report to you happily all this time later that I have gained new friends and I have gained a new vocation. And I am helping more than anything else. What makes me happy is being able to do this show every night in helping in this war against the insanity. And you guys can do it too in your own way, but it starts with standing up and saying, "I've had enough." You don't have to freak out. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to yell. You don't have to scream. All you got to do is say something. Just say something. Say something. Say something. Shadow at Night live stream is brought to you by Canada Nano Silver, CanadaNanoSilver.ca, with the multiple flavored toothpaste. It comes in cinnamon. It comes in spearmint. It comes in bubbleberry for the kids. Naturally whitening, helps keep your teeth clean. Triple action nano silver, the Silverceutical technology. Silverceuticals is made from only the highest quality ingredients. This unique toothpaste is kid safe, uses powerful natural ingredients. Triple action nano silver cleans your teeth, promotes healthy teeth and gums. Then above ground mined coral calcium helps to scrub and remineralize your teeth. Again, you can get this in 3 different flavors: the cinnamon, the spearmint, and the bubbleberry for the kids. The kids are going to want to brush their teeth at least 6 times a day, maybe more. Or they're going to want to eat it like candy. So keep it out of their reach if you possibly can. The same with the immune gummies. The toothpaste, one of the many great products available now at CanadaNanoSilver.ca, with a brand new retail location in Oakbank, Manitoba. You can find all the retail locations. There's one, they've been adding them. Kev and Anna have been adding these retail locations like crazy, it seems, and they haven't been telling me. So I went and looked at the retail locations today. Oh my God, there's lots of them. If you want to become a retailer of these awesome products, maybe make yourself a little extra money in a side hustle, get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the contact tab at CanadaNanoSilver.ca, and you can buy them at the retail locations, as I just mentioned, all across the country. All right, coming up on the extension, let's see here. Elizabeth May, leader of the Green Party, leader of the 2-seat Green Party, has come out and said, this NSICOP report really overblew things. I mean, I don't think we have traitors in our government. Elizabeth May came out and said this, and then it got reported on by Althea Raj from the Toronto Star. I'm going to go into that because it's actually quite laughable what she said and then what she said and how the left-wing corporate media covered this. We have video from the Niagara Pride in the Park festivals that happened this past weekend, thanks to our buddy Rob Primo out there, and more from a woman named Sarah Kane on BitChute. This one particular Pride event she talks about is this one event trotted young people out there who had them go on stage, take their clothes off, and show their gender-affirming surgery scars. And the crowd is screaming and yelling in support. which is absolutely astounding. I just find it so sad that people can be so brainwashed and think that what they're doing is ever going to make them feel whole, because it's not. I believe, and I've read a lot about this. I'm no expert. I'm not a psychologist. I'm certainly not a psychiatrist, but I can read. And up until 2016, 2017, this gender nonsense was considered to be a mental condition. But when the World Health Organization said, no, it's not, that's when things really started to change. There is a guy in Idaho, owns a bar, and he has designated June as Heterosexual Awesomeness Month. And boy, did it take off. We're going to play video of that guy coming up in the extension in just a second on shadowdavis.com. So thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank Raelyn Fox, and I want to thank David DeWolfe for sharing their stories and their views tonight on the show. I want to thank you for being here. If you want to become an all-access member of my website, go ahead and check it out, shadowdavis.com. It's like $10 a month. You're going to get all the extra programming, the extension, the Sunday night show, which runs at 8 o'clock Central every Sunday night. And I am rounding up some pretty cool exclusive interviews for the website, as well as we continue to change, morph, and improve the existing website into something that is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And yes, my friends, I will look into getting a sound engineer one of these days when I can finally afford it. For those of you not coming onto the extension, we'll catch you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I will talk to you very soon. For those of you who are all access members, I'll see you in 2 minutes on shadowdavis.com. We'll be right back.